Hey guys, so I want to start this video off with a little apology, especially to you guys who are not living in the South right now. I am about to make you guys insanely jealous of my garden. Everything is still very lush here in October, and I realize that that is not the norm for most of you in the world, and especially in the northern United States. I have the privilege of having my garden look like this all the way through till November. Today is October 8th, and the garden still looks like it could be midsummer. But as I take you guys through the garden and you see things up close, you will see that things are starting to look a little worse for the wear, especially with the colder nights we've been having. It's getting down into the 50s during the night. We're still getting up into the 70s and sometimes even the 80s during the day here in October. And that's the trade-off here, is we do get these really temperate fall and spring times, but then it's way too hot for way too long. So, pick your poison there. But we're going to go through the garden and I'm going to show you all the cool things that are happening. I am transitioning into fall a little bit, and I'm going to kind of talk you guys through, what I'm thinking as far as that transition, how things are going. And there are a couple of little exciting things too to show you guys, things that I did not think would go well, but are actually turning out quite nicely. All right, we're going to start with this entryway trellis. You can see that the grapes have kind of taken over most of it. I really wanted it to be scarlet runner beans, but we have only a few here. It took forever for this plant to even put on any beans, and I have 6 of them. So these are continuing to grow for me each year, but are not real heavy producers. And then so I'm wondering if maybe this just isn't the right environment for them. If we come along the outer edge here, which I don't normally show, we do have some turmeric going on here. This is the one from last year that stayed in the ground, and this is a newer one that I planted this year. And you can see this older one, it has kind of split. It's starting to get huge down there, I'm sure. And I'm gonna leave it for one more year just to see how big it's going to get. These turmeric plants are absolutely beautiful. I love having them in my garden. And if we move on, I do have a ginger plant here. The ginger does get dug up every year. I don't think it will survive the winter. I've tried before and I've never seen it come back. We have even more turmeric right here. And then this section is kind of a little bit of a victory. This is some walking onions that I planted last year, and it took me a while to really see them start coming up. I did this thing where I planted them at the edge here where there's a lot of Bermuda grass trying to get in, and I was hoping that they would take over the area and start crowding out that Bermuda grass. And the Bermuda grass was crowding them out for a while. But as you can see, it looks like they are very healthy up in here, and they're starting to look like they've got the momentum to kind of start taking over now. They're also mixed in here with my skullcap, which came back after last winter and has been looking like a fairly healthy plant all year here. Farther down the row from that, I have a new sage plant. This is one that I got from a local farmer's market. I went ahead and also did the same thing. Everything that's here on the edge is I hope it stays here and gets big and bushy and crowds out the grass. This has grown a ton since I got it. I think it's 4 times as big since I put it in just a couple of months ago. It's been growing really fast, even though the temperatures have started cooling off. And then as we come through here, I have these 2 new plants, that one and that one. These are tea plants that my friend got for me. I wasn't considering getting them at all, and then she was like, hey, do you want some? And I was like, you know what? Yes. We can see a couple of new leaves coming on here, even though some of these look kind of bad. I'm guessing that it had some transplant shock, but maybe this next spring we'll start seeing them grow a little bit more. This one is also looking pretty decent. And then the last thing that's technically in this row here is my marshmallow. This is gonna be ready to harvest soon. Once all of the foliage dies back, I'll go ahead and come in and start digging up the roots, seeing what we got, making some marshmallows from it. All right, we are back at the front of the tomato row now, and you can see we have a lot of dead stuff here. The beans are pretty much done. The tomatoes are also pretty much done, although I have a couple plants still kind of going back there. The basil is also pretty much done. I was really hoping to kind of cut down the plants and use all the basil all at once to make one final batch of pesto. And guess what? I waited too long, and you can see this no longer looks very good to eat at all. Basil is very sensitive to cold, and so these chillier nights are just not good for it. So this is gonna get cut out as soon as I have time, composted, and then I'm putting in some fall plants in here, probably some kales and other big brassicas, as well as my garlic is gonna go in underneath the trellis like it always does. If we keep going through here, I do have some marigolds that are doing excellent right now. And as I go, I'm hoping not to run into any spider webs. We also do have some zinnias in here. You can see they're still making new flowers, new buds, but you take a look at these other older leaves and you're like, oh yeah, these guys are not real happy with the current temperatures right now. You know, they are definitely showing their age. And then I have this purple basil, which seems to be a little bit more cold tolerant. It actually kind of looks incredible compared to the other basil. So I think I will still try and make pesto from this purple basil. So I might have an entirely purple batch, which will look really weird, but it should still taste really good. Here are some of the final tomatoes for the year. Hopefully they have enough time to ripen, and if they don't, I'll bring them inside and maybe they'll ripen indoors, or I can use them as green tomatoes. Definitely all of them can get used in some way, shape, or form. And also up here, I still have my Malabar spinach growing. I've actually kind of dropped the ball as far as using it this year. You know, I'm always so ambitious. I think I can do all the things. And I have all this beautiful spinach here that I just haven't really used, but hopefully it reseeds itself. It makes these gorgeous little purple fruit-looking things. They're actually a really good dye, but yeah, hopefully it'll reseed itself and I won't have to do anything, and I'll have a bunch more of it next year. One thing I did do to try and prep for fall is I planted peas all along this trellis, and that did not go super well. I have like 1 or 2 peas that actually came up and survived, and they're not looking great. I've always had trouble with peas, you know. I just can't seem to get the conditions right for them here, and it could just be, you know, I'm in the south and that's kind of how it is. But, well, it could also be the weeds. You know, they're competing with a lot here. But even when I had less weeds, I still struggled with the peas. So hard to know for sure. So lastly, back here where I can't really get to because it's overgrown, I have a Thai basil and a holy basil back there that have been flowering all summer. And I'm probably going to cut a lot of the best looking branches off of these and go ahead and dry them for tea over the winter. All right, so we just went down that row, and this row here is too crowded for me to walk down, so we're going to go down this way. And first, right in front of my feet, this is my Sugar Rush peach pepper that has completely flopped over, but it's still looking insanely healthy. Although, you know, all these little tiny peppers, there's no hope for them ever ripening. I do have quite a few on here that are about to ripen. So I think I still will get quite a bit of harvest off of these, and then the green ones, you know, we'll use them too. Also, as we come back here, this slightly empty looking space, you can see I have little onions coming up. These are my potato onions. I am still trying to get them established. They don't look like the healthiest, most robust things in the world, but hopefully if I give them time, they will get really established and give me another good source of perennial onions. Also, right in front of me here, we have eggplant. This is right now eggplant season for me. I have such an abundance of eggplant in here, and the more you look, the more you will see as we go through here. Oh, look, there's peppers intermixed here. I think these are guajillo peppers hanging off right here. I am getting caught on my own deer fence here. But yeah, with the eggplant in the last couple of years, I haven't really gotten a good harvest. So I really overplanted this year, and I think it's actually quite the right amount because of all the stuff I like to do with eggplant, especially the baba ganoush. Like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna make so much of that, and I'm gonna freeze it, and I'm gonna have it all year. Oh, hello, Kata. You coming to say hi? So this front section of this row here is the eggplant and the hot peppers. So we've got Tabasco here, some more guajillo, some banana pinos over there. We've also got Carolina cayenne mixed in here with some of, what are they called? Hongochus. And I think that's it for the hot peppers. I've been harvesting pretty steadily off of these all summer, and I am still getting like quite a few. You can see these are fully grown, and I'm just waiting on them to ripen. Hopefully we will get quite a few of them to ripen before the actual cold sets in. You can see all these green ones here, but like I said, they will still be useful to me even if they don't end up ripening out here. The ripe ones are sweeter and hotter, but the green ones are still hot, green jalapenos, still hot. So it'll still be good. Here is another one of my eggplants. This one is the Antigua variety, which is my absolute favorite. I love the little stripies. And if you look through here, right there, right there, you can see there's some back there. There's another one kind of right back there that I can't get to. Those two are going to be saved for seeds, I think. But yeah, I've got so many of these things. And then past that, even more eggplant. Look at these things. They're everywhere. We've got some more marigolds back there, but starting here, these are all sweet peppers instead of hot peppers, and they are mostly bell peppers. This variety of bell pepper has done super well for me this year, so I'm absolutely going to be doing these again next year. You know what I'm not doing again next year though? Is these things. These are a Hungarian wax pepper, and for some reason I have not been able to get a single one of them to stay pest-free long enough to ripen on the plant this whole year. It hasn't happened once. I've gotten a couple to ripen inside, but yeah, I don't know, something about them, they're just not doing really well here, and I also don't like the flavor of them very much. So, and then if we walk all the way to the back, past some more turmeric and sweet peppers, we get to the section that I've started filling out with some of my fall stuff. Definitely I'm going to start pulling even more of these plants pretty soon, although these are my third sweet pepper type. These are an Italian sweet, I believe. My partner likes to say that they look very hot, like they are going to kill him. But they are in fact sweet peppers, and they have been very prolific. They've been doing really well. The plants have been great, but the shape of them has just been really inconvenient for me. I really like cutting up peppers for roasting, oven roasting, or cooking into stuff, and these smaller ones are just really inconvenient to cut up and almost impossible to get anything from if I oven roast them and char them. So these probably won't make it to next year. So back to these, I do have a kohlrabi, I think a couple of them back here, a couple of spinaches. This, I believe, it's either cauliflower or a Brussels sprout, I don't remember, but it variegated, which is really pretty. The variety is not naturally like that. This is just a genetic mutation, so that's pretty. This one I'm pretty sure is a Brussels sprout. And then I have here a bronze fennel. This is apparently a perennial. I got it from the same farmer's market where I got the sage. And look at that color. It's beautiful. And you guys know I love perennials. Anything I don't have to plant over and over every year, absolutely love that. It's starting to get like a little bit of a bulb-shaped thing down here as well. That's cool. I've never grown fennel before, but this is looking really great. Oh yeah, and we can't forget the lemongrass back here. I actually haven't used any of it this year, but it is a really good perimeter plant to kind of help keep the deer out of everything. All right, so now we're going back to front on this third row here. And first of all, can you guys see this beautiful spider web up here? This thing has been guarding this section of the garden for weeks now. It's doing such a good job eating all the bugs. Right below it here we have my lemon balm, the very, very dead corn with the southern peas still growing on it. We have, I guess, some more volunteer zinnias, and then interestingly we have the pigeon peas, which are finally flowering. If you've never heard of pigeon peas, these things are a perennial legume, hopefully. They might not be perennial in my area, but it's going to be close. And I'm finally getting some actual beans from them. So I think that's pretty cool. Hopefully we will see some more of these next year, and hopefully some of these actually do get to mature so I can taste them. And as I continue to carefully step through here, we move on to the peanuts. These I'm going to harvest once it gets cold and the foliage starts to die back. I am hoping I get like a medium-sized harvest from this area. I think there's a good chance it's not the best because originally I did have deer come through here and munch basically just the peanuts, and that's why I now have my 4th pie pan up there, because they circumvented me. And of course we've got some weeds growing in here too. I tried my best, guys, but you know how it goes. So whenever I do harvest the peanuts, I'll be sure to let you guys know what I get out of that. Okay, and this trellis is like one of my favorite things in the garden right now. It's like a portal to a secret garden with all these little tendrils everywhere. It looks so pretty. These are a perennial version of a cucamelon. So this is from the Experimental Farm Network. My first year growing it, we'll see if it is indeed perennial, if it does come back. But I've really enjoyed having it. And with the number of seeds that it is probably dropping, even if it's not perennial, I have a feeling I am not going to be able to get rid of it. I had thought that maybe it would be a good cucumber replacement because I'm trying to replace as many annuals with perennials as possible. But they are really tiny and they do have a bit of a different flavor. I'm not sure if it's going to end up being a good long-term cucumber replacement, but it is a new thing that I really enjoy. So, you know, it has its place. In between my 2 trellises, I have some more turmeric here, and this one is actually starting to flower. If you look at that, isn't that gorgeous? And then this trellis right here, this was noodle beans. The noodle beans are still going, honestly, but they look like they shouldn't because their leaves look like this. And any actually good looking leaves you see, this is a different type of bean. This is my red silk bean, which maybe you guys can help me with this. I know I planted red silk beans, right? They're all green. Do they turn red later? I don't know. And some of the flowers are yellow and some of the flowers are pink. But I have gotten literally no red beans from these at all. I haven't gotten any mature beans out of them either, so I haven't seen yet if the inside is going to be pink. But theoretically, I'll put a picture on the screen of what they should look like. And they are just green. So could be a weird genetic thing. It's kind of unlikely that literally all of them would have this weird genetic thing. But I don't know. Maybe it's the time of year or the temperature or something, or maybe they will turn red eventually. Stay tuned to find out. So another fun plant that I got from that same farmer's market where I got the sage and the fennel, I got myself an echinacea plant. I've been trying to get echinacea to grow in my garden for like a year now, and the different things I tried failed. I tried growing it from seed, and then I tried growing it from like some sort of bulb thing from the store, and none of that worked. But this plant finally, it's looking really, really healthy, and I think it will continue to grow and spread, and soon I will have more echinacea than I know what to do with. There are a couple of volunteer cosmos around here as well. They look absolutely incredible. I didn't plant these on purpose at all. They just came up. Oh, I love when that happens. It's so easy. All right, last row of the main garden. We're gonna look at the sorghum, which is very, very close to being done. This is a popping type sorghum, so I'm gonna be able to pop it like popcorn. And if y'all know anything about me, you know popcorn is one of my favorite foods. So I'm very excited to try this out. It looks really, really good, and the way the grains feel, they're so heavy and satisfying, I don't know, they feel great. And you can see some of them back here, like these are starting to turn brown, which I think is a good sign that they are almost done. So I will be probably taking some and testing them very soon, but also, I don't know, first time growing sorghum. I know for most grain sorghums, you wait until everything is dry and the stalk and all of that. But I've been having a hard time getting information about the popping ones specifically. So we will see. This one, oh, this one is turning very brown in like a concerning way. I don't know if that's a disease or if that's just how it's supposed to do it. I will keep watching it, and you guys let me know if you know anything about that. All right, so past the sorghum, I have all of this green. Most of this is chickweed that I didn't plant intentionally, but it is edible. And I do have a few radishes in here. I have a couple of carrots. I was supposed to have lettuce, but I think my lettuce seeds got too old. I haven't seen any of my lettuce germinate this season. And then here behind them, I have a few cauliflower plants. And as we keep going this way, I've cleared a bunch of the weeds out and put in more brassicas. So this is some unknown combination of cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, and broccolis. This one right here is something that was left over from last year that I'm like, oh, well, might as well let it keep growing if it looks good. This one looks incredible. This one is outpacing everything so fast. I hope it's a kale. Seems like it might be a kale. I'm gonna have to eat the leaves and try it out. And then over here, we have a couple of spinaches and some more walking onions that I've been babying. And I took the little bulbs that came off of this one and I split them up after they sprouted so that they could cover more area here. And I still do have this blueberry plant here, which has never really produced for me. It is still looking very sad, but I'll keep giving it chances. It has a friend back here, which you can't see. It blends in with the weeds. And it has its own spider protector. So she's doing a good job keeping as many pests away from it as she can. Okay, so now we get to move on to the other section of the garden. So right here on the pergola, as a reminder, I have hardy kiwi and grapes, and they have been growing all season long. If you take a closer look, you can see the leaves are looking pretty rough, here near the end of the season. They haven't really been growing anymore for the last month or two, but they did make it to the top of the trellis, so I'm very excited about that. And hopefully next year we will see a lot more fruit. I got one little tiny bunch of grapes off of this plant this year, and I'm not even sure if I picked them at the right time. And I got no hardy kiwis, but I mean, these things are looking really robust. Next year feels like it would be a reasonable time to expect to get fruit from this plant. And this trellis also has its own spider protector right up there. It's actually really huge, but it doesn't look like it on camera. Yeah, look at her. She's doing such a good job. If you see these in your garden, these ones are Jorro spiders, by the way. They are invasive, but they do like to eat some other invasive bugs, and they are kind of generalists, so they will do the same job as other spiders. All right, so here we have the OG raised bed, the original. In this bare area right here, I've planted a few crocus bulbs, saffron. Oh, hello, Kata. This one looks like it might be coming up a little bit. But I've planted them in a few different places around the garden, and I think they'll be very pretty. They'll make me a tiny bit of saffron. They're kind of just a novelty thing. Back here is my Japanese wild parsley. This should be a perennial variety. And I can kind of see it coming back after a very hot summer. So that is really encouraging. In this area, oh no, man, something keeps coming through and munching these. These are Welsh onions that I keep trying. I cannot get the Welsh onions to stay. Maybe it's because the environment here is not Wales, or very much like Wales. It's not very Welsh up here, is it? So maybe that's part of the problem, but I'm trying a bunch of different types of onions, so hopefully at least one of them sticks. My sage plant still looks incredible. This is the original one that I had when I moved in here 4 years ago. 4 years ago, yeah. And it just continues spreading and looking incredible no matter what the weather is. This is my feverfew right here, coming back after flowering and dying back a little bit over the summer. And then back here I have my Italian oregano, and of course the thyme, which is huge at this point and, you know, half dead, but it's kind of just how the thyme seems to go, I guess. I'll probably clean it up and cut it back a little bit, but otherwise I'll just kind of let it do whatever. As long as it's making me some tasty herbs, I don't particularly care if the plant is pretty. Right here is a little messy, but this is the tiered raised bed. These are my garlic chives, which seem to really like the environment here. They are so prolific, whereas my onion chives are just always sad and tiny in comparison. I've got some dead calendula in here and some grass growing up. This is another type of thyme right here. This is hi-ho silver thyme that is kind of greening itself up. You can still see maybe some of the remains of what it did look like when I got it. And this is my onion chives, which are just like, yeah, they're here, but they're puny in comparison to the massive garlic chive. And then this section right here, like, I wish I'd shown you guys this like a couple weeks ago because it was so green and dense. I was like, holy cow, I was thinning carrots like crazy because I planted way too many. A couple of dill plants came up in here, but I think some caterpillars got to it and just like munched the hell out of these carrots. I'm hoping that they come back, but I can't be sure. Like, this one looks like it's making a new leaf. But it's kind of devastating to see. Oh, look, the more I look, like, there's a tiny, tiny new leaf right there. There's a teeny, tiny new leaf right there. There's another one. Maybe they will come back. But they're definitely going to be behind because of that. At least we've got some dill here. Oh, hello, Kata. This is the time where she's like, everything you're looking at is me. Every little rustle, she loves things that crinkle. So any little dead stuff crinkling, she loves that. And she's also kind of a ham for the camera, I think. Okay, this next one here is my Greek oregano. This is more of like a ground cover type of oregano. It's very robust. It keeps coming back. I need to also cut back all its little flower stalks. And then right here, I have in that very back corner another Japanese parsley that is barely coming back. I put in a few more onions of a different type. I think this is my mountain multiplier onion that I put in here. And then I just threw in some radish seeds that got washed into the corner immediately by the rain. So there's just a few kind of clustered in there. And then this massive conglomeration of foliage, these are my sunchokes, my Jerusalem artichokes. And these are also a thing that I will harvest once the foliage dies back after the first frost. And if we carefully come around here, you can also see I have American ground nuts in here. That's these little things. They are existing. I wouldn't say they're super healthy, but they're here and they're growing. So I'm gonna let them keep doing that. Okay, and now moving on to this terracotta raised bed. This is the one that had that really tall corn in it, probably the last time you saw it. And now I've cleared it out and it has already ready to harvest radishes in here. These are icicle radishes. I did plant a ton of other stuff in here, but none of it has come up. There's supposed to be turnips and rutabagas and just like, for some reason, radishes were the only thing that sprouted. Even though I put like brand new soil here at the top. If y'all remember, this one had a little bit of that bad soil that is hopefully getting diluted out by every time I put good soil back into it. But yeah, this is another section I was going to have some lettuce in, and none of that sprouted. Like literally 0 of them have sprouted. So that makes me think it's something to do with the seeds. There's some more beautiful icicle radishes. At least we've got something good coming up. This raised bed right here, this is mostly perennials. My asparagus on this end is doing quite well. It has continued to put up new stalks throughout the summer. Like this right now is very tender. I bet it would be so tasty, but I'm gonna restrain myself, and next year, I know for sure, next spring, these will absolutely be ready to harvest. I don't think I'll get a ton of asparagus, like 1 or 2 meals max. I didn't really realize how much I would have to plant. But down here, these are some strawberries that I planted in the spring, and they didn't really make any berries for me, but they have expanded quite a lot. So next spring, we'll be getting strawberries from that. This massive thing right here is my yarrow, which of course is taking over. I'm probably gonna have to come through and just like intentionally thin it out. Otherwise, this whole bed is gonna be yarrow by next year. I do have a calendula that survived the summer and is starting to flower again now that it's cooled off. And you can see more strawberries coming in through here. This is another marshmallow, which is looking more dead than the other one. So maybe I can start on that route sooner. This is another area I had tried really hard to put purple asparagus in here, and it all died, except for this one plant, which doesn't look very purple, but it is asparagus, so there's that. And then the rest of this area is more of those saffron crocus bulbs. All right, we are finally moving on to the berry patch. There is a raised bed under here. You can't see it. It is entirely covered in sweet potato vines, and these are really getting out of hand. These are about to go into the sidewalk over here. They are flowering, which is really, really pretty. And these will be harvested once all the foliage dies back in the frost, which could be as early as 2 weeks from now, maybe closer to 3, but it will be soon. And also in here, this is my, what is it called? St. John's wort. It is also massively productive. The edge of the sidewalk is like here, and I've already cut it back once this summer. We have some more blueberries in here that are, doing okay. Blueberries don't really seem to like my soil here. Another giant garlic chive, which I'm glad I put it here. It's doing a good job of shading out at least some of the Bermuda grass. And I did painstakingly come through here and clip away a lot of the Bermuda grass so that the strawberries could grow back. And that seems to have paid off. They look like they're much healthier than they were. Also right here we have my healthiest blueberry plant. It looks great, putting on new leaves here in the fall. And as we come around, we're gonna see some blackberries. These are fairly tasty. I'm not as into blackberries as I thought I would be when I first planted these. So I have, oh, that is a spider web. Let's go around. So yeah, I'm not as into blackberries as I thought it would be when I planted these, but they are still producing. I do like the raspberries much, much better. And then right in here, I don't know if y'all recognize this, but this is the rhubarb that I planted for my dad. And some of these leaves are absolutely huge. Look at that one in there. And this one right in here. Next spring, I think I can easily harvest a ton of rhubarb from these. And we are also in the middle of the second flush of raspberries for the year, although they never really fully stopped except for like a couple of weeks in the height of the summer. But I can come through here and get like 5 or 10 ripe raspberries every single day. And you can see that it's currently in the process of making me a lot more. Moving past the berry patch to the kind of new tree area, my pineapple guava. This plant looks incredible. It hasn't fruited at all, but it looks so healthy. Maybe next year. This is my pomegranate, my dwarf pomegranate, and I think it might have finally set some fruit. This flowered and then it didn't fall off. And it's making like 2 more right there. This other one right over here is doing the same thing. So maybe it will continue and I will actually get some fruit, but it's feeling like it's kind of late. I don't know if it will continue to ripen past the frost. And 2 weeks does not seem like enough time for this to grow into a full fruit. But we're going to keep an eye on it. It would be really exciting if I did get fruit though. This is one of my figs. This is one that I thought wasn't coming back, and then it did, and now like look how healthy it looks. It has got incredibly healthy looking foliage on it. And this other fig right here, this is new this year. I already got like 4 figs off of it. And it seems to be making me a second flush of figs, which I'm not sure if I'll have time for those to ripen. But it's good to know that it tries to have that second flush, and maybe next year, once it's like fully established, it'll be more on time or something. Who's to say? This one's the LSU purple, and the other one is a brown turkey, I believe. Right over here, this is my Carolina allspice. It looks kind of sad, but it is coming back with some like much healthier looking foliage. So maybe in the spring, this will end up looking really, really nice now that it's all established. And there she is again. She's like me on camera. And then the last three are my citrus. This one is my citramon. It has not grown a ton. Has been getting established. This one, US 942, aka Sour Patch Kids. It's been growing great. You can see all this beautiful new green foliage it grew. It is going a little bit yellow again, so I'm treating it with some more iron supplement. And then this one, this is the kumquat. This is my grafted kumquat. And it has also made some really beautiful foliage. Like all the foliage you see, except for this one leaf, is new this year. And it lost everything else that it had. I'm going to have to protect these pretty well this first winter, but after that they should be sturdy enough to not need protection over the winter in my area. So that would be really, really nice. Goodness, it is getting pretty sweaty out here. It is 26 Celsius, so that's like mid to high 70s Fahrenheit, so not like the worst, but definitely with like all the walking around. And then the humidity, like my skin is not going to be dry if I'm outside today. That's just how it is. But that is the garden tour. That is what I'm doing for the fall. I would love to hear from you guys what you guys are doing for the fall, and tell me about how things are going for you for the year, and maybe if you already have ideas for what you're doing for your garden next year. I would absolutely love to hear about those in the comments. If you do want to catch up on garden tours, if you've missed some of them, I will put the playlist up here at the end. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.